All right. Good afternoon, everybody. I think we've got a number of people on the webinar, so I think we're going to get started pretty quick. I might start by introducing who we've got in front of you. So my name is Peter, Pete Limnios, head of head of sales at Fuse Technology, and I've got my colleague here as well, Phil Aldridge, who's the director of our WA operation. Phil, you want to say hi to everybody?
Good morning, everybody. Looking forward to this presentation with you all. This should be an interesting insight into AI in your organization, I think, with Peter and myself.
Yeah, absolutely. And Phil, it's Arvo over here, but that's all right. Morning in WA.
Well, it is. It's not too early in the morning, but it's okay. I did start early.
Nice one.
Got to
Awesome.
get used to this 3-hour time change between here and there.
I know. I'll try not to bug you too early. Anyway, so today we're going to be discussing AI in your organization. Specifically, we'll focus on how AI will impact your business. We're going to go through what's coming. There's a lot of talk and a lot of buzz around the Microsoft space. So we're actually going to focus on that in particular with Microsoft Copilot. And then we're going to take you through what you and your business can do today. And then I think we'll have a little final look at governance and security, just to make sure that your organization is adopting things securely, that you're doing things safely. So we've got people coming in. I think we're ready to jump into it. So I appreciate everyone on the call today. We're really excited. It's great to see that there's a lot of interest in this space, because it is really the next big thing, I think, when it comes to work. So I see a lot of familiar names on the list and some new names. So I'll just give a quick introduction to who we are at Fuse Technology. So we're an Australian managed service provider, and we transform the way businesses engage with technology to help them fulfill their digital potential and really align IT and technology with the business. So at Fuse, we're very cloud-first, cloud-focused. We're here to help Australian businesses address the collaboration, the communication, and the security challenges of the modern workplace and make IT simple the way it should be. So when it comes to the world of AI, we're really here to help ensure that SMBs can navigate the complexity of AI. You adopt it securely, safely, and responsibly. So that's what we're here to do. We're here to make it simple, and we'll give you a little bit of insight into what we're seeing. So AI, this is why we're here today. It is top of mind for everyone. You're seeing it in the news. You're seeing it everywhere. Your colleagues and your friends are talking about it. It wasn't so long ago that I'd talk about all the cool things that AI could do for me when ChatGPT first became the big thing, and my wife would call me a nerd for playing around with it. But now, everyone's on board with AI. Everyone's talking about it, and everyone's really excited. So we want to talk to you about what you can do and what it really means for you.
And you still are a nerd, though.
I accept that, but I counter that you too. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in this position.
Very true.
Awesome. So, AI. Why is it so exciting? It's because it's here to. Its promise is really to lift the burden of work today. We live in a digital age, a data-heavy age, an information overload age. And what we're seeing and what we believe, and this is backed by Microsoft as well, is that organizations that move first to embrace AI will really be able to unleash creativity and unlock productivity for everyone. It will usher in a new age of productivity growth and value creation. And a quote from Satya Nadella, who is the CEO of Microsoft, he believes that this new generation of AI will remove the drudgery of work and unleash creativity. And I think that is the absolute core of the value proposition. It's how do you as an individual in your workplace really deliver value and focus on those on the most important things of the noise. So I think we're going to do a little poll to start us off. There's a good number of people in here. So I think Julian is going to pop that up on the screen. I'll read it out, and this is an opportunity for you to order what you think is the most value. But from top to bottom, what would you like AI to do in your organization? And we'll give everybody a moment to pick their order.
And you just click the arrows up and on the
You can
right-hand
just
side, up and
you
down
can
to
just
reorder things.
click the arrows up and down, or you can click and drag the boxes as well. All right, we're seeing some responses come through. I'll give us about 15 more seconds or so. All righty. Now, can anyone, or Phil, can you take a guess what you reckon, or what you think is the number one?
I think number one is going to be, it's got to be boost productivity. I mean, that's what everybody wants from AI, surely. I'd like to think so.
Well, before I get into everyone's results, I'm going to show you what Microsoft see. So Microsoft conducted a study, the work index of Australian and New Zealand-based businesses, and they actually found that when given the same options, that there was the highest number of response, primarily focusing on increasing employer productivity. And lo and behold, when we've run the same question, boosting productivity was the number one result. Still a couple of people coming through, but boosting that productivity was the number one result. Eliminating time spent on low value tasks was second. And if we go down to the very end, reducing headcount was actually our lowest scoring, which is actually consistent with what leaders wanted from AI when spoken in the work index study. So I think it's pretty clear that Australian leaders agree that the number one thing is boosting productivity. Reducing headcount is last. You can see there's twice as many respondents on boosting productivity. But I think the interesting point is that it's that there could be an impact on some jobs in the short term. But now that we are in that information age, that always on communication age, leaders are looking at ways to help their people and to help kind of remove the crush of that information overload. And I think AI is really the opportunity to help them lift that burden and to help them focus on doing the work and putting their focus in the areas that will help them to thrive. So that's really kind of where we're sitting. That's the information that Microsoft has taken on board from the public, not just in Australia, but they've conducted these studies around the world, and that's helping them inform what they take to market. So that leads us to the glory topic of Copilot. Now, I'm sure many people have heard the words Copilot, but I just want to demystify a little bit around what Copilot truly is. So Copilot is not actually any single product from Microsoft. It's the collection of their AI products that will enhance your experience and productivity. So there's actually multiple Copilots, and each has its own specific function and purpose. So depending on your role in the organization, there may be a Copilot that suits your function, and that could be as a developer, could be as an IT security professional, it could be as a salesperson. But really what we want to focus on are the Copilots for every employee. Now, I can see there's a hand up with a question in the audience. I might just ask, as a little bit of housekeeping, if we put Q&As in and we can address them at the end, just to keep things easy. So, Alexander, I see your hand is up.
Yeah, just type your question into the chat and we'll address them as we get to them.
Awesome. So if we're going for the every employee approach, what are the Copilots that are going to impact you? And this is really, I think, that's going to really move the needle across every organization. Specifically, the top one here, Microsoft 365 Copilot for Microsoft 365, which is going to be your Copilot to work alongside you in everyday tasks, help you as your assistant in work, take your natural language inputs, bring together the language models, your data in Office 365, your applications, and the internet. That's the thing that's going to help you remove the drudgery from your work and help unleash your creativity. And this is the next big thing, the revolutionary tool from Microsoft. But there's actually some other ones out there as well. There's you may have all heard, or may not have heard of Bing Chat Enterprise. Bing Chat Enterprise has now been renamed as Copilot Enterprise Pro, and that is your Chat GPT equivalent. And we'll go through this in a bit more detail. And then the last one is Windows Copilot, which is a new feature in Windows 11, which again is going to help you overcome some of those little basic setting errors, the little configurations on your Windows device, make that experience more seamless. And this is where we want to focus, where I think your organization will get the most value out of AI moving forward. So to just build a bit of the hype and a bit of the excitement, we're going to start off with a video, and you'll see exactly what this Copilot is all about. So hopefully everyone can hear the sound, but we'll kick this one off. Awesome. So that's all about creation. It's about collaboration. It's about, really getting the most out of your tech and your experience. So what you would have seen was chat queries, email and inbox summaries, analysis of spreadsheets, meeting transcriptions, document generation, and presentation generation. But I think the main thing is that it's text-based questions with meaningful answers and material output. The list goes on what Copilot can do. And really that's what Microsoft Copilot is all about, or specifically Copilot for Microsoft 365. It's their AI-powered tool that will revolutionize the way that we work, and it's integrated with all your applications, and it will combine the power of large language models with your individual's user data and all your services within the Microsoft environment. So as you can see here, it's going to hit your inbox, your Outlook, your calendars, your messaging, all your document generation, spreadsheets, etc. So we'll go through in a little bit of detail, and I won't dwell too long on what you're going to see, but we've got Copilot in Microsoft 365 chat. Now this one here is your true personal assistant. In chat form, you can solve your day-to-day problems. You can find data, you can ask questions of your data, and if you can see the example on the slide, what it's showing you is actually asking the question to compare two simple documents, saving you time, saving you the hassle of the analysis and reading things yourself. You just fly through and get to the true bits where you add value. So it just takes the drudgery out of the day-to-day. I think the Copilot in Teams is actually a really exciting thing for me, because it's really about never missing a beat in a meeting. You can get your summary, you can get the actionable insights, make sure that you and everybody is kept in the loop. I think one of the most exciting things that you can take away is that if you're running late to a meeting, you can actually jump on Teams and ask it to summarize you, so that when you catch up, 10, 15 minutes down the line, you can just engage in that meeting. You can interact as if you were there from the beginning. So you really want to just make sure that you keep visibility from beginning to end, and this is what it empowers you to do. In Outlook, I love the situations when you get dropped into an email trail that's been running for 2 or 3 months with 10 different people, and you're just asked to take over. If you're ever in a situation like that, you're asking your Copilot to get you up to speed, to get you across the main discussion points, the main action items, the main priorities. And then you can start creating emails as well, asking it to do the drudgery work, and then getting your Copilot to make the email even sound like you, so that its language, the way it signs off, is just like you. It's really like having your assistant sitting in your computer doing all the hard work for you. We can go through every single one of these applications, but Word documentation, asking text-based queries of your Excel documents, and not having to be an Excel expert to actually analyze the data. I think people spend so much time in their day-to-day asking queries. I've done it myself, asking Google on how to write a formula to get the outcome I want. But now we just have to ask the question in the document itself and get the answers put out to us. This is going to save so many people so much time across every team in every organization that has access to it. And similarly with your PowerPoint, you can get your notes from your OneNote. You can plug it into any document, whether it's notes, whether it's a Word document, and ask the AI to generate the PowerPoint presentation for you. And then it's about you coming in after the fact and putting your own personal touches on it to make it truly yours. And that is the key essence, I think, and the key power of Copilot for any organization in the future. So just to be clear, this tool is for everyone. It's at any level of the organization, and it's for every business unit. The focus is about identifying inefficiencies in your personal processes and your team's process. And what will become imperative is that every employee becomes intentional about the time that they save with Copilot. So if you think managers, they can spend more time coaching and caring for their teams. Salespeople can spend more time devoted to their workday, building relationships with customers and closing deals. Marketers can spend more time dreaming up their new messaging, their new campaigns, their new product. Everyone will have more energy to do the rewarding work and the most impactful work that delivers value for your organization. And this is the message that we want to take to you guys. Copilot is there about taking out the drudgery. It's taking out the mundane and letting you as an individual and everyone in your team do the work that will help them thrive. Now, I need to bring us back to reality a little bit, because Copilot has gone into general availability as of 1st of November this year, but not for everyone. So Microsoft is releasing things in waves. Just because it's not available for you now doesn't mean it won't be available for you in the future. But at present, if your organization is on an enterprise agreement, you're allowed to purchase a minimum of 300 seats. Now, judging by the people on this call that I've seen the names of and the organizations, there's a good chance that none of you are on an enterprise agreement. And if you don't know what an enterprise agreement is, it is the top tier businesses in Australia, the big banks, the tens of thousands of seats. For the rest of you, you're most likely on a direct or a CSP model. We as a managed services provider provide licenses to our customers on the CSP model. If you are on the enterprise licenses, we expect that, so that's an E3 or an E5, we expect that you will be able to purchase in a minimum number of 300 from your IT provider, from us, direct from Microsoft, in early 2024. Expect January, February, you should be able to do that. But the minimum of 300 will likely apply. For the rest of the Australian businesses, small businesses, medium businesses that don't have the scale, we're still expecting it's on the roadmap. We know it's on the roadmap, but the timeframes will be mid-2024. So that's just bringing us back to reality. There's some great stuff out there, but Microsoft have to ensure that there is a smooth integration process, that they have the capacity to support it, and to ensure that they can get the insights from the big end of town before it gets released to a wider audience. I think the other side of things, just to make it clear why it's being staged in waves, Microsoft actually have a sustainability target to be carbon negative and water positive by 2030. And Copilot is obviously powered by Microsoft's cloud services, which run in data centers in Australia and around the world, depending on your location. And to give an idea of how much energy it actually takes to use Copilot, I've been told by my colleagues at Microsoft that one Copilot query, so for example, in one of those examples we saw before, asking it to compare two documents, that one query could take as much energy as a single halogen downlight running for 20 minutes. So if you think that every question that you ask, that every document that you generate, that every meeting that gets recapped is burning tons of energy, they need to make sure that they've got the infrastructure in place that aligns to their net zero targets, and that they're doing that in advance before they roll it out to the great unwashed. Because what's going to happen is every small business will buy in ones, twos, fives, tens, 20s, and it'll become unstructured and unmanaged. So that's what they're trying to control. But the main takeaway is that it's coming. It'll be there for you. So what can you guys do to prepare yourselves? Now,
and do need to mention how much it's going to cost, Peter?
Oh yeah, it's going to cost. So it's based on US pricing, $30 US per user per month is Copilot for Microsoft 365, which we expect will be in the sort of $45 range per user per month. Now, people see that as a cost, and absolutely it is. But when you think about how much of your day you can get back, it becomes a no-brainer. But as I said before, it's about being intentional with how you're going to save your time. So to get us started, what can we do today? Because as I said, it's not here for most people on this call today. What can you do? Now, I'm sure everyone on this call, if not most people, have at the very least heard of ChatGPT or used ChatGPT. So if we look at this slide here, we've got our free ChatGPT models. So there's ChatGPT, there's Bing, just the free version of Bing, which is the GPT large language model. It's the AI-powered web search. You put in your query, it searches the web and your answers come back to you. But where I'd like to encourage everyone on this call is to actually consider Microsoft Copilot Pro, formerly known as Bing Chat Enterprise. And the difference between the free models and Bing Chat Enterprise is the commercial data protection. Now, Bing Chat Enterprise, for anyone who is on a Microsoft Business or Enterprise license, so if that's Business Standard, Business Premium, E3, E5, i.e. anyone pretty much in a Microsoft tenancy, should have access to it immediately. And Phil will show us a little bit later what that looks like. But the commercial and data protection is the most important thing for you, because unlike the free models, with Microsoft Copilot Pro, Bing Chat Enterprise, your data is your data. Your data won't be used to train the OpenAI foundational models without your permission. Your data gets protected by the most comprehensive enterprise compliance and security controls. So in practice, what that means is when you're typing your queries away, once you're done with those queries, the data gets purged. It doesn't get stored anywhere. It gets stored locally in that chat. And as soon as you're done, the data is gone. So that means that you don't have the risk of data leak, data loss. But Phil will talk us through that in a bit more detail. And then once we get to the very end of it, we have Copilot for Microsoft 365. Now, as I said, we've got a 6-month roadmap to get there. But now is the time to prepare your organization for Microsoft 365. We'll start talking, and Phil's going to take on from me here, but he'll start talking to you about what you and your organization can do to get yourselves ready so that you can adopt it when it becomes available responsibly, securely, and simply. So, over to you, Phil.
Thanks, Peter. Okay, so I think whilst we all know that it's not here yet, there are things you can be using, but the key now is to prepare your organization to be structurally ready and data prepared to take on Copilot when it gets formally rolled out. This is probably going to happen in the next, well, we think 6 to 12 months. We hope 6 months. But as you can see from the list here, there's quite a few things that you actually need. Most of you on this call will be on Business Premium. At the moment, as Peter mentioned, it's E3 and E5. but business premium is coming. As I said, we think roughly around 6 months' time. But there are additional things that you will need to have already implemented. So you'll need to be all on Azure Active Directory. You will all need to be on OneDrive. You'll all need to be using the new Outlook and the new Teams and Loop, which most of you won't know anything about, but that's sort of handled by your IT. And the reason that you need all of these things enabled and on your desktop is so that you can benefit from cross-app intelligence. They want to be able to access your email and your OneDrive and your SharePoint files and your team conversations so that you get the best results. We also think that whilst it's being rolled out, business premium is probably going to be rolled out geographically. That's the expectation. Microsoft has historically done that, so probably it's going to be America first, and then other locations will come a little bit later. But we'll keep our clients up to date as much as we can with information. As soon as we know it, you'll know it. On the next one, so this is probably the key point to how you get prepared to use Copilot. There's a data preparation. You've all got data at the moment, and it's probably some of it's in the cloud, some of it's not in the cloud, but it's probably not very well structured such that you can maximize the benefits of AI. So when we talk about cloud data, which is step one, I mean what I've mentioned before: OneDrive, SharePoint, email, Teams, etc. So if you've got data on your computer that isn't syncing properly to OneDrive, that data is not going to be ingested by Microsoft's AI. If you've got email archives on your computer, these archives are not going to be ingested into Microsoft. If you've got a server in your data in your server room in the office with a load of files on it, these are not in the cloud. So there is still an element of cloud migration or cloud adoption that needs to be done. Once you've got your data all in the cloud, you then need to think about permissions and policies. So Copilot uses all of your existing permissions. And the problem with that is that most companies have a few issues around content oversharing. It could be deliberate or it could be accidental. But the reality is most organizations grow organically, and their structure of data security doesn't really grow with them. So you find that people have access to data that they shouldn't have access to. The reality is, at the moment, they don't really know that because they don't really go looking for it. If you hide files in folders, in folders, in folders, in folders that make no meaning, people won't find those. But once you implement Copilot, Copilot finds it. And then these staff suddenly have access to all this data that they may not know that they had access to. So you really have to review your data policies and procedures and permissions. You've got to consider that rubbish in, rubbish out. It's the same old adage with databases. If you've got 10 old presentations and one final presentation, Copilot's going to ingest those 10 old presentations and give you results based on those as well. Then you get to deploying, and when you deploy, it's test, test, test. You've got to make sure that the policies that you have in place are actually accurate, and then once you've deployed, you manage. And manage means using the tools that Microsoft gives you to look for things that aren't right. Make sure people aren't accessing things that they shouldn't be accessing.
And I'd just like to add to that, Phil, what you mentioned about, I guess what you're saying is the guardrails, right? The guardrails need to be up to ensure that your staff can't find the information that they're not supposed to. And you mentioned that it's all about policies. And I might have access to a file that's hidden deep within folders, but now it's not about knowing where that data lives. It's really just about knowing how to ask a question. How much does such and such person in the organization earn? Imagine if a junior admin person in an organization asks that question, right, of an executive, and they inadvertently had access to that information. Their question would get answered. And that's the frightening thing if you don't take the right steps.
Absolutely. And I think the biggest concern is, as I'm going to show in a few minutes, you're going to be asking your staff to become experts at asking questions. So if you don't have the data structured correctly, they're going to be able to access potentially stuff that they shouldn't be accessing, and no organization wants that. But the reality is that this isn't just an exercise in IT. This is a business exercise as well. Every organization should be asking themselves various questions around why they're doing this. What are the problems they're trying to solve? What are their current capabilities? Do you have any at the moment? And as you'll see, there's 5 questions on the screen there. The first 3 are business questions. The last 2 are IT focused. So it's really important that whilst the management team of an organization asks the right questions of why they're doing it and what their objectives are and what the problems are that they're trying to solve, and engage with the various teams and departments, it's also critical that you engage with your IT vendor or a company like Fuse to make sure that you're asking the right questions of your data and your infrastructure and the resources to make sure that you get the right solutions for what you're trying to achieve. And then on the next slide. Yeah. So interesting. I think we got a poll later on. I'm not too sure. There it is. We're going to ask people about whether they actually have used any ChatGPT or Bing Chat or Bard from Google, because if you look at your screen if you use Bing, you'll see that there is a little button. I've highlighted it in red, and that's the chat. That's Bing Chat. Most people don't know it's there. A lot of you might not even use Bing for your searching. A lot of you might still use Google. I've no idea. But if you do a search, let's say you search for Fuse Technology Australia, you get your usual search there. If you press the chat button, it changes it to the chat, the Bing Chat version of the answer. So this is the AI answer of what is Fuse Technology Australia. But what you'll see there on the screen is the 2 red boxes to say that your information is protected. As Peter mentioned earlier, this information is here for you, is stored within your own Microsoft ecosphere, your own tenancy. It's not used to train the model. And then once you finish with this, it's gone. So you don't have to worry about it anymore. If you look at the Google terms and conditions, you'll see that, for example, if you are not in Europe, then all of your data is handled by Google in the USA. Now, that may or may not compromise your privacy requirements in Australia. I would expect it probably would. But it also says that Google has the right to use that data. So you've got to look at the terms and conditions and the privacy policy quite carefully when you're not using the Microsoft suite. Microsoft suite is very clear. It's your data, but in other services, it may not be your data. I'm just going to answer my question there.
Once you pop your question in, we'll have our final results. So
sorry, just busy talking.
So we have 56% of people on this call. I think with your answer, it changed it down to 53%. So 53% use ChatGPT predominantly. I think there might be a few IT people in the room pushing Bing Chat up the chain. So that's you and I, Phil. But we had 29% of respondents on Bing Chat Enterprise. We have 6% have used Google Bard. But interestingly, actually, I wasn't expecting this. 11% of respondents have not used any AI at all.
And I was expecting that. So that's interesting. Yeah. I thought we'd have a few.
It's an interesting shift when I talk with others in the industry, with our customers. There is certainly an overwhelming majority of people that are very pro AI and excited about AI. There are a few fence sitters, though. A lot of people who sit on the fence, concerned that they're excited for it, but a little bit concerned of what negative possibilities there are, and there are still some who are nervous about it and can't see the value or don't know how to take the value. of AI. So it's an interesting conversation, but hopefully, we can kind of shed some light on it and really bring to the surface the true value for you. And as I said before, if there's anything that you can come out of today using, I would say Bing Chat Enterprise or Copilot Enterprise Pro is really your best friend at the moment, because it's going to be secure and it's going to give you that very early access into the power of AI. Anyway, Phil, we have a demo. Do you want to talk through what you'd like to show?
Yeah. So I'm going to show you Copilot Studio. Now, Microsoft has given us this tool. It's available to everybody, and you can use it right now. And it's a way to create your own agent, your own chatbot that can integrate with any data that you want it to. And we think that clients of ours will probably want to use this for things like linking it with a CRM or with a HR system, so that people can go to the Copilot agent and say, what is my vacation balance? Or do I have any expenses to submit? So that you can get simple, quick answers without people having to go to the HR department or the accounts department to ask these questions. So it saves time for the employee, it saves time for the department. So I'm going to quickly pop out now and do a demo for you. And this will be interesting. So it is a live demo, so bear with me, because these tend not to work, but let's see how we go. So this is Copilot Studio. It's very easy to get to. The two screens that I showed on the previous slide of how you get to it. Once you're there, you can actually very easily create a new Copilot, which I'm not going to do right now because I've already created a couple. What I've done is I've gone and stolen Zurich's, for no particular reason, but their business travel product disclosure statement, which is 51 pages long. And what I've done is I've added this through the new button on here, the generative AI button. I've added the Zurich travel policy document here as a PDF. And I created this the other day, and I left it to sort of absorb the data. And then you then think, right, well, I want to, I'm a user of this insurance policy, and I go to this this chatbot that's maybe on Zurich's website, and I type in a question like, am I covered if COVID interrupts my travels? And you press the answer and you wait. And what Microsoft is now doing is going back to that policy, and it comes back and says, yes, you may be covered for travel. It gives you its answer, but what it also does is give you the citation here. It tells you where in the document you can find that particular answer. Or you could ask something like, what is the cooling off period? This means that you need to know that there is a cooling off period, but there is in most insurance policies. It goes away again, and it comes back with an answer at some point in time and says, there you go, the cooling off period for this policy is 21 days. Now, this saves a lot of time. You don't need to have individuals and real people answering these questions. If the Copilot Studio agent cannot answer the question, you can set it up to offload that to your help desk, so that the help desk person can pick it up and say, sorry, we weren't able to answer the question immediately, let me help you now. If I go back, and this is the one that I really like, this is the Microsoft one, and I was thinking how Fuse can actually use this. It's quite cool. So I went into Microsoft's support website, and I added the entire support website of Microsoft to this chatbot. Now, you can obviously ask questions like, how do I use the sum function in Excel? I know you can write that as a question in the help of Excel if you want. But if I go to here and I send this off, it comes back with a list of examples, how to use the sum function, and it gives you the citation here. What I thought was really cool is if I'm in Spain and I'm on the same website and I ask the same question in Spanish, what happens is it gives the same answer. Spanish, which I felt was a really, really useful function for multilingual Copilot agents. So you can use this system and you can easily generate it with any of your own content. You can link it to any website, to any document, to any string of documents. You can link it to your agents. Later on, you'll be able to link it to various applications through what we used to call APIs, I suppose, but you'll get various systems being added to this so that you can link to them, various external solutions like MailChimp, Xero, etc. So I think as a quick demo of how you can use Copilot Studio to create your own agents within your own organization, I thought that worked quite well. Quite happy with that.
And Phil, do you want to just talk through? Obviously, this is more through the admin center that you're experiencing it, but do you want to talk through how it can be published and how end users could actually access this once it's in place?
Yep. So once you've created it, you can actually publish this, and you can publish it to various places. You can publish it to a website. You can publish it to your Teams. You can publish it to your Facebook. You can publish it to Slack. Any of these icons here, you can configure and go to the channels. We don't actually have it turned on so I can publish. But the idea is that you could put this anywhere you want. So, you could link it to your internal website. So everybody can go to your HR or your accounts Copilot agent on your internal website and ask questions there. And any questions that it can't answer can be offloaded to somebody at HR or somebody at accounts. If I stop that sharing now, you can reshare the presentation.
We can jump back on. Alrighty.
So I hope that was a nice little demo of what you can actually do right now.
Yeah, thanks, Phil. That was awesome. So back where we left off.
We left off.
Do you want to talk us through the next layer, the next aptitude, the next skills?
Yeah. So now I've shown you sort of something that you would use, within your organization. You need to understand that there's a role in this for management and for staff. Yeah, it's important that they both understand their roles in this. Management is to drive adoption, and staff is to drive upskilling and utilization. And for the staff, the key here is this new funky term called prompt engineering, which is a way of asking questions of AI. You've got to ask the right question. So, for example, if you asked it, write me a poem, if you used a ChatGPT, write me a poem, it's not particularly effective. It might write you a poem, but it wouldn't be a particularly good one. But if you said to it, write me a poem about whales in the ocean in the style of Oscar Wilde in 4 verses, you get a much closer solution to what you want. So it's key for your staff to understand how to do prompt engineering, and that is, how do you frame a prompt to Copilot? And the key is there's four key things you need to add to a prompt. You've got a goal, context, a source, and expectations. Yeah. What do you want? Why do you need it? What information sources should be used? And how should it be presented back to you? And if we go to the next screen, so here you'll see I've actually done one. I've in the top there, I've written the prompt. Write an email to my boss, which is the goal, to inform him that I just launched a new product, the Apple Car, which has received 12,000 pre-orders, the context. Using all sources available, that's the source, and write it in a professional yet friendly tone. And that's the expectation. And what comes up below, I know it's a lot of words, but that is, it came up in about 10 seconds, is the Bing chat response to my prompt. And it gives me a really good email that I can use. And that's the sort of email that maybe you expect your PA to produce for you. Or if you don't have a PA, maybe it's the draft that you would look up somewhere else or one you've got before. And you need to modify this to make it yours. It's the same with everything. It's not going to give you the final answer. It's going to give you its best estimate. And then you need to make the answer yours. Now, at the end of this presentation, we're going to share with you all something that you can give to your staff to help them to become prompt experts.
And that is going to be usable today when you use the Bing Chat Enterprise, and it's going to be available tomorrow when you finally get your hands on Microsoft 365 Copilot. So
Yeah.
it's going to be, it's the new aptitude, it's the new skill, and we can start to see just how much potential there is to really free people up from the debt of this information overload, and what they can do to fuel their innovation. So, this is for the overwhelmed employees. This is for the leaders who are trying to get the most out of their people. I guess we're not necessarily saying that AI is going to fix work, but it's going to create a new way of doing things. You'll form your new processes. You'll look under the hood and work out, where there's room for improvement. As we said, there's new aptitudes. Prompt engineering is going to be the new skill. It's going to be the thing that everyone's going to have a tick box on their resume to say that they've had experience doing that is something an employer is looking for. But it's important that we get things right from the outset, because there's an opportunity for us to really excel and to really get a competitive advantage in our industries. But there's also a responsibility on every single person and every organization to kind of lean into this AI shift with caution and to do it properly. We got to test and experiment with AI, but we got to have the sense of responsibility that we're here to help people, we're here to help our staff, and we're here to get the right outcomes for our organization. So very soon, it's all going to be in your organization, and you'll have it within your work environment, and your work is going to change rapidly. So that's really, we've got to get that message across, that let's get ourselves ready for it. So I want to take the time to talk. I guess I've had a lot of people talk to me about it and say, well, AI, it seems like it's a massive cybersecurity risk. And I know cybersecurity was the biggest topic on everybody's mind until AI has come about. This is my perspective, and it holds some weight in terms of who I've spoken to and the message and how it resonates with them. But I'd like to say that AI inherently is not unsecure, just like cloud inherently is not unsecure. And this was a conversation when cloud came about. So I'm going to take us through the mindset shift. And if we start at the beginning, we lived in a world of on-premise. That means my office housed my servers in a server room. And to be secure, I had my device on the corporate network, and all was good. So, and yes, I'm simplifying, but we take the essence of the message here. In my office, I'm secure. To ensure that we remain secure, we have physical security. So there's locks on the doors and the windows and locks on the server room, and away we go. We are secure on the corporate network. When we go to the cloud, there was still the concern that, well, hang on, we're opening ourselves up to a world of internet and web-based threats. Isn't the cloud unsecure? And I say, no, it's a mindset shift. We've now got our data hosted in, Office 365, Microsoft 365. Microsoft now in their data centers are taking control and taking responsibility of the physical security. Your responsibility now as a leader, as the IT representatives in the organization, and our responsibility as the managed service provider is to ensure that identities are secure, that I can say, I am Pete from Fuse, responsible for accessing my data. And if I can prove that I'm Pete and I have all my multi-factor authentication in place and all the controls in place to prove my identity, then I can access my data. So the physical security becomes responsibility of the provider. Your identity becomes your responsibility as the organization. As we move into AI, we have to actually assume that, yes, the physical security is handled. We have to assume that the identity is under control. And if we say we tick both of those boxes, then we can progress into moving on to AI. But our new responsibility becomes access rights, information governance, and that's the key. If your physical security is under control, your identities are under control, then you focus on information governance and you are approaching it securely. And that's what Phil's been talking about, that last step around information governance. Get that right, we can adopt it, and we can really make some positive changes. So, Phil,
Yeah.
you want to talk more about security
whilst we're talking
implementation?
about Microsoft, predominantly Microsoft, and the governance around the data of Microsoft, which is relatively easy to handle because it's a closed ecosphere for you as a tenant of Microsoft, there are other security implications. The risk of using external AI apps. So we all know that there's stuff online, free stuff, Whisper, Scribe, Write, all of these free or even paid tools out there on the internet that people can access, sign up for, and use, and potentially upload confidential corporate data or upload personal information on clients or staff members, etc. And the problem is you don't know the data ownership or the data sovereignty of the application that you're using. So I think as a general rule of thumb, if it's free and you upload the data to it, then you don't own that data anymore. That's pretty much in the public domain, probably. If it's a paid tool, you probably need to look at the terms and conditions carefully around data ownership and sovereignty. I think you need to understand that we're all in Australia. The majority of these AI tools are coming out of Europe, coming out of America, which means that you're uploading this information offshore. And that's a risk. That might be in breach of PII rules. It might not be, but it might also be a risk for your corporate confidential data. One might break the law, the other might break your business. Let's put it that way. So how do you protect your organization? And I think you need to ask your business units, ask your HR, ask your accounts, ask your sales, ask management, what do they need? What AI tools do they need that's going to help them? Identify, get the business units to identify the correct tools, get the terms and conditions checked by legal, do your due diligence. And then once you've done your due diligence, have a predefined list of AI tools that are company approved that your staff can use, so that when you hire that young new gun that's just straight out of university, you go, here's what we use, so that he's not going to, or she's not going to sign up for some new tool that you're not approving. You need to make sure that they've got the tools for them to do their job.
100%. And I think, that's really heading into the impact of not adopting AI. If we don't act now, then we open ourselves up for a world of hurt. It's the same when we move to the adoption of cloud. How many rogue Dropbox accounts and free Google Drive accounts that, the emerging workforce were spinning up because they went through school and university using Gmail. They went through school and university using Dropbox. And when it came time to them doing their work and collaborating and sharing documentation, if the organization hadn't given them the free rein to use things in a controlled manner, they went out and did it for themselves. And that's exactly what shadow IT is. And that's exactly what will happen with AI. If you don't provide the tools in a structured and controlled way for people to use, the emerging workforce will find a way to whatever it might be that helps them work effectively. And shadow AI will become the next concern. And I think, if you do it right, if you follow the steps as we said, if you prepare for it, your organization is in a great position to get a competitive advantage, to attract the right people to your business, and you're actually giving your users a lesson in responsible AI moving forward. And I think that's from a sort of corporate and social responsibility point that's not discussed very much. If you can teach people how to use it correctly and educate them on using it right and also how not to use it, then they can actually take those learnings into their personal lives. And it's not something that gets discussed very often, but I think it's hugely impactful that it can really make a difference in your people's day-to-day, inside work and out of work. So before we go to our final poll, Phil, do you have any last remarks?
I was just going to say on that I think this is an opportunity for organizations to really inform the future workforce. We're an AI first organization. We adopt AI, we have tools for AI, we'll train you on how to use these tools. It's a way to attract talent. Not many companies are saying this at the moment. So if you want to be at the forefront of this, you'll get the people coming out of university or people that want to learn how to use these tools. They'll be the ones that be applying for your job if you're the one telling people you have it.
Absolutely. I think it's more than just dollars and cents that attracts people. It's the environment in which they can thrive, and that's starting to show in the responses we're getting through. We've got, it's looking 58% are saying that AI is essential in the workplace. 25% have said it's very important. 17% has said it's somewhat important, and we're still on 0 for not important. So, if anyone's a firm believer that it's not important, speak now or forever hold your peace. So I think we are going to. That means
we haven't done our job properly if somebody says that.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Well,
it may depend on your business, to be fair.
Yeah. Absolutely. But start with looking at your processes, looking at your teams, how you operate, and finding the right way for you. Fantastic. So Phil, do you want to talk about these assessments now?
Yeah. So at Fuse, we believe the first step is for every organization to assess whether they are ready to adopt AI into their organization, to find out where the blockers are, where they are ready, where they are not ready. And we have a tool to assist our clients to do this. We can go through the tool with you. It's not something really you can do on your own because it needs a lot of interaction with an IT professional to make sure that the questions are answered correctly. But this will identify where you're ready, where you're not ready, and where the blockers are that are absolutely stopping you from implementing AI. And we have this, and we're ready to roll this out for any organization that wants us to help them to do this.
So I guess that takes us to the presentation or the end of the webinar. So look, as Phil said, that's an offer that we've got for everyone who's joined today. You're welcome to contact us, reach out after today's session. Our contact details are on the slide, but I'm sure that you'll get the communication from us. We'll be sending through the prompt engineering handbook as well, and reach out and contact us, and we'll see how we can help you adopt and get yourself ready for AI. But there's one final question that we had for everyone, and that is, what would you like to hear about in our next presentation? So if anyone has any input, we'd love to take your feedback, and we'll let that inform our next session.
Yeah, and please send us some questions. I'm amazed that we managed to keep that to exactly 1 hour. That is rather incredible. We didn't think we was going to. We hope to have a little bit of time for questions and answers, but it seems we're out of time. But if you've got questions, please flick them over to us at the email address there, and we will happily respond. And we look forward to working with as many of you as we can on helping you with your AI integration.
Excellent. Well, no questions coming through, so thank you, everyone. Yeah, echoing what Phil said, we'll leave you all to get back to your day.
Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a nice day.
Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.